For several years, NASA's spaceship Kepler was wandering through space. It studied more than 150,000 stars across the galaxy. This search had a specific goal: to find planets that are similar to Earth. These planets might become our second home, but it'll happen only in the distant future when humanity begins to colonize space. The mission was successful. Kepler found loads of planets that got called super-Earths. In our solar system, there's not a single planet that can be called super-Earth. Some scientists think it may be hidden somewhere on the edge of our system, but nobody has found direct evidence of this. A super-Earth sounds impressive, but in fact it's unlikely to look anything like our planet. All over the universe, there are many such supers. To become a super-Earth, a planet must weigh from 1 to 10 times the mass of our planet. It also has to be twice its size and powered by a star's energy. That's all the criteria. The surface of such a planet may be rocky or gaseous or even mixed. Imagine living on such a planet. It's the same as ours, with similar atmosphere, climate, and landscape, but several times larger. Our lives are different here. Because of the increased mass, the gravity on this planet is much stronger. There are no high mountains or trees in this world. Everest is several times smaller. Most trees don't grow higher than a single-story building. People are also more compact. It's difficult for the body to grow tall when gravity presses on it with double or triple force. The average height of a grown-up is 3 feet. There are almost 8 billion people on Earth today. In large cities, people feel quite crowded. But on the super-Earth, the area is twice larger. People are smaller too. They drive small cars and live in small houses. That's why there's much more space. The air is cleaner, and not all parts of this planet are fully explored yet. Days and nights here last longer than on good old Earth. Today is Monday, and Tuesday will start in 48 hours. But people still don't have enough free time. Working hours are longer now, and people need more time to sleep, rest, and commute. But the cool thing is that now people are much stronger and more resilient. If an ordinary person gets to the super-Earth, they will feel as if they're carrying a heavy backpack filled with bricks. Their muscles won't be used to hauling such a load at all times. Even during sleep, they'll feel heavy. In an unprepared person, this pressure can damage bones and muscles and lead to unpleasant consequences. But since people have been living on the super-Earth for thousands of years, they've evolved and adapted to the new conditions. On this planet, human bones are as strong as iron. Muscles are as hard as a rock. People are small but powerful creatures. But they don't know about their own strength. Everything around them is heavy, and this is the norm. Trees are sturdier, and their wood is more durable, which means the furniture is more massive. A single sheet of paper on the super-Earth can weigh 10 times more than the ones we're used to. The average passenger car can weigh as much as 2 fire trucks, and a teaspoon is heavier than a dumbbell. But since the weight of all vehicles is greater than that on our planet, people need more power and fuel to reach higher speeds. They use a lot of gasoline. Much more resources are needed to send rockets into space. It takes more fuel to overcome the gravity of super-Earth and leave its atmosphere. Spacecraft also have to weigh less. When everything is so heavy and dense, you don't feel super strong. But let's say you're a resident of the super-Earth and decide to visit good old Earth one day. You become a superhuman here. You can come up to any car, put your hands against its trunk, and start moving it. In the gym, you can easily lift any weight. With one strike, you can leave a crack in the concrete wall or punch through a wooden board. All of this looks extremely impressive, considering your small stature. Your legs, used to heavy loads, feel so light here. You can easily jump from one roof to another. If you accidentally fall from a 2-story building, your body won't receive any serious damage. Your skin won't be scratched, your bones will easily withstand the fall. On Earth, you become a superhero. Unfortunately, a super-Earth with the conditions perfect for humans hasn't been found yet. These planets are still poorly understood. They can even pose a danger to people. A large mass means a huge amount of energy, and this energy needs to be released. If we lived on the super-Earth, volcanic eruptions would be as common as thunderstorms. The increased gravity could also cause more tectonic plates movement. The landscape and the planet's crust would be very unstable. Imagine earthquakes waking you up every day. Such conditions would encourage people to develop a great sense of balance. There would also be special technologies strengthening house foundations. Frequent shifts of tectonic plates would trigger huge tsunamis. Oceans would constantly change their shape. Vast areas of land would get flooded. In such changing conditions, people would never be able to build permanent cities and live comfortably. Plus, if people ever came here, it'd be difficult for them to fly away because of the planet's powerful gravitational force. Space objects flying past the super-Earth would be more likely to fall on the planet. In addition to volcanic eruptions and earthquakes, there would be frequent meteor showers, and those wouldn't be just tiny rocks that evaporate in the atmosphere. Huge asteroids could be thrown off their course by the planet's gravity. People would have to build a machine that could destroy meteorites before they enter the atmosphere. But even if they succeeded, hundreds of chunks of space rock would still fall on the super-Earth. After all these catastrophes, people would most likely understand that there's only one super awesome Earth, and it's our home planet. The worst thing that can happen to Earth is the hardening of its core. As soon as it stops working, the planet will lose the shield that protects it and us from space radiation. Solar storms and blasts of energy can create serious problems for people. All electronics will stop functioning normally. The internet, power plants, traffic lights, computers, airplanes, you name it. To survive in such a place, people would have to live under a huge dome. It wouldn't allow radiation and meteorites to pass through. But many super-Earths have conditions that are even tougher than that. For example, there's a planet where the air temperature is so high metals get vaporized there. It's unlikely any life forms can appear in such a place. But if people had to evolve there, our species would be invulnerable. Imagine creatures covered in skin that's stronger and more elastic than any material on Earth. Walking through fire would be as ordinary to them as breathing air. The inhabitants of this world would probably try to take over other planets. The only thing they wouldn't be able to withstand would be low temperatures. A light warm breeze would seem like an ice-cold gust of wind to them. There's another super-Earth similar to this one. It receives tremendous amounts of energy from the nearest star. Because of this, the temperatures there are so high they even destroy molecules. In the depths of space, scientists have found another super-Earth. It's 2.5 times the size of our planet and is completely covered with water. There's not a single patch of land on it. The planet is super heavy. That's why it's tilted a bit to the side. When this super-Earth rotates on its axis, water flows from one side to another. Massive destructive tsunamis are a common occurrence on this planet. If people lived there, they would look more like amphibians than humans. Another super-Earth is 6 light-years away from us. Its mass is 3 times that of our Earth. It takes the planet about 233 days to orbit its star. This planet receives only 2% of the star's energy. The surface of this world is a dark place, covered with ice. One of the most amazing planets out there seems quite friendly and potentially habitable. Just like our Earth, it glows with blue light, but its appearance is deceptive. On this super-Earth, winds blow at 7 times the speed of sound. But the main danger is glass rains. Trillions of shards turn everything that gets in their way into powder. Gee, no, I'll have to pass on that one.
Among all the planets of the solar system, our Earth is unique, since it's the only one that has developed life. But what if we got a competitor? What if a second Earth appeared out of nowhere? Then there would be 2 different scenarios. The first is the destruction of both planets. And the second has an unexpected but pretty logical ending. But let's start with the catastrophic scenario. The second Earth with the same conditions could only exist if it received absolutely the same amount of sunlight as our planet. The orbit that our Earth follows is perfect for getting the necessary amount of solar heat. If we were a little further away, the entire surface of our planet would resemble Antarctica. And if Earth were a little closer to the Sun, we'd all live in a huge desert, inhabited by very few living beings. So, for the second Earth to be identical to ours, it would need to follow the orbit of our planet. 2 massive objects can exist close to each other. The union of Earth and the Moon is a great example. But if the second object was as heavy and huge as our planet, there wouldn't be enough space for both of them. The gravity of 2 Earths would be a huge problem. The 2 worlds would collide because they would be pulled toward each other. This process would last for hundreds of millions of years. And in the end, the 2 planets would transform into one giant world. And their remnants would be flying around the newly formed planet, resembling the rings around Saturn. Or one of the planets would push the other out of its orbit. In this case, one of the Earths would hurtle toward the Sun and burn like a match in its atmosphere. It's also important to remember that Earth is moving at a speed of 67,000 miles per hour at all times. This is more than 80 times faster than the speed of sound. And now, imagine two huge planets that are flying toward each other at such a speed. Even a microscopic organism living in the mouth of a volcano wouldn't stand a chance to survive the collision of two Earths. Even the moon would be torn to pieces by the blast wave. But let's imagine that Earth's twin is following another orbit, somewhere between Mars and Earth. Even in this situation, people's lives would change forever. By the way, the theory that Earth might have a twin appeared long ago. Scientists of the past believed that the second planet could be hiding on the opposite side of the Sun. Thanks to modern technologies in astronomy, we know this theory isn't true. Otherwise, our telescopes and other equipment would have already caught some signals from this planet. Scientists study space objects thousands of light years away from us, so they would definitely notice another world in the neighborhood. But anyway, let's imagine that the second Earth does exist, and we've discovered it recently. The entire field of astronomy and astrophysics will immediately receive hundreds of billions of dollars in funding. The study of Earth's twin will become a priority goal for people. Experts will put forward hundreds of hypotheses about what the second Earth looks like and what's happening there. The planet is almost at the same distance from the Sun as we are. This means the weather must be the same there. Soon, scientists find out that Earth's doppelganger has liquid water and continents, but they aren't like ours. Their shapes and location are different. Most likely, life exists there too. But what is its origin? There's a hypothesis that life on our planet appeared thanks to amino acids brought here by a meteorite. It's highly improbable that the same thing happened to another world. Life most likely emerged there in a completely different way. Perhaps the fish didn't get out of the water on that planet, and the first intelligent creatures appeared in the ocean. These could be amphibians with scales and fins, or octopus-like monsters with huge tentacles. Fish on the second Earth could have come out of the water and grown limbs. But what if they didn't like walking on the ground? Then, this world might be inhabited by intelligent bird people. Or, life could have originated deep in the soil. Then evolution would create humanoid moles or highly developed worms. To find out for sure, scientists send a rover there. A similar mission to Mars was a success, so there shouldn't be any problems with this one. People on Earth are waiting. What will the rover find on the other side? It will take several years for the ship to get there. Strangely, 2 days after the launch, it returns. But wait, this is not our space probe. All this time, the inhabitants of the second Earth have been watching our planet too. At one point, they also sent a probe. It's made of the same materials as ours. It has a camera and a recording device. But people are worried because the rover looks similar to a mechanical spider. Can it be that giant tarantulas live in that world? Scientists understand that we need to communicate. We send our guests a radio signal with some information about our civilization. They catch this message and send their own. It contains strange symbols that resemble scratches. Linguists all over the world are trying to decipher it. Meanwhile, astronomers send the guests a recording of human speech. A few days later, our satellites catch a message from our space neighbors with their voices. Scientists are about to play the recording. The whole world is listening with bated breath, and it's a growl. A terrible and absolutely incomprehensible growl. It has pauses and an unusual rhythm, but it's nothing resembling human speech. The whole planet is panicking. All countries are preparing for an invasion. The most important thing now is to build shields to protect the planet. No one can decrypt the message. It's possible that our neighbors can't understand us either. People make a last attempt to establish some contact. We send a video to explain to our guests with the help of gestures and signs that we only want peace and collaboration. The answer doesn't take long to wait. Our satellite receives their video file. Scientists play back the recording, and it's shocking! We see dinosaurs in robotic suits! Life on the second Earth has been developing in the same way as on our planet. But the infamous colossal meteorite didn't fall there. over millions of years of evolution, dinosaurs have become sentient. In the video, they're growling and pointing with their claws at the picture of our Earth. Then they start growling even more loudly and... is it laughter? The recording ends. People consider this the announcement of the invasion. Several years have passed. During this time, scientists have exchanged messages with dinosaurs several times, and it seems we're beginning to understand them. It turns out that the reptiles also want peace. They say that their planet was once inhabited by humanoids similar to humans, but a massive flood wiped them away. Dinosaurs managed to survive and evolve into intelligent beings. It will take many years before people set foot on their planet, and when this happens, humanity will feel relieved, realizing that we're not alone. But what if there was no intelligent life on the second Earth? People would also be happy. We would know that we'd always have another home. Perhaps we'd start exploring Earth's twin right away, or begin mining its resources to replenish ours. In any case, our lives wouldn't change immediately, because that land would be too far away from our planet. Dozens of generations would pass before people begin settling on the second Earth. Our homeland planet would be losing more and more resources, so everyone would want to move to a new world. In the beginning, only the richest would be able to do it, but with time, space travel would become cheaper. People would probably invest a lot of money to build a paradise on the second Earth. If this happened, we'd be visiting this world during our vacation to breathe fresh air and enjoy nature. In any case, the human population would grow. This means that sooner or later, the second Earth would become as loaded as the first one, and then people would start searching for a new home among the stars. By the way, if any life exists on a planet similar to ours, it's likely to look like octopuses. There's even a theory that octopuses came to Earth from some other world. Any animal has several evolutionary stages of development. For example, elephants and mammoths descended from one common ancestor 5 to 6 million years ago. Looking even further, almost all mammals evolved from one ancestor they shared with reptiles. Each species has been changing over millions of years. But not octopuses. They suddenly appeared on a family tree. From the point of view of evolution, squids would have to evolve into octopuses millions of years from now. But look, they're already here. Besides, octopuses are incredibly smart. Their genetic code is much more diverse than the human one. They may be visitors from another planet that is similar to ours. But of course, this is only a hypothesis. In July, when we're about 94 million miles from the Sun, the world is about 36 degrees Fahrenheit warmer overall than in January, when we're 3 million miles closer. This is because there's more dry land in the northern half of the planet than the southern half, and land tends to heat up more than water. During the northern summer in July, more land is heated up than in January. So the planet gets a little warmer at this time, even though we're further from our source of heat. The closer the moon is to the horizon, the larger it looks. This phenomenon is called the moon illusion. One of the theories explaining it claims that the atmosphere plays the role of a magnifying glass, which makes the moon look bigger. In reality, if the atmosphere had a say in it, the moon would actually look smaller, not bigger. Most experts believe that the illusion is created by your own mind. It can increase the moon's size more than twice. When Earth's satellite is high up in the sky, you don't have any visual cues about how far away it is. But when it's near the horizon, you can see objects surrounding it in detail. It makes the moon look larger. But it's just one of the many theories explaining the phenomenon. By the way, you can trick yourself out of this illusion if you bend down and look the moon upside down through your legs. A day on Venus is longer than a year. It takes the planet 243 Earth days to rotate around itself, and only 225 Earth days to make a full circle around the Sun. Around 5 million years ago, the supermassive black hole at the center of our galaxy launched a star from itself, and it's now traveling through the Milky Way 10 times faster than any other star out there. Saturn's rings are very thin compared to its size. If you had a scale model of the planet that was 3 feet wide, the rings would be 10,000 times thinner than a razor blade. Mercury is a few billion years old. In 2016, scientists discovered some abnormalities on the planet's surface showing that it's getting smaller. After more research, they found out that Mercury hasn't finished cooling down yet. The Earth and the Moon are gradually drifting apart, as slowly as your fingernails grow. This is the flip side of our satellite's gravitational force. The Moon creates tides in the Earth's oceans. They pull back at the Moon and make it speed up. This in turn moves the satellite to a higher orbit. In prehistoric times, the Moon was way closer to our planet than it is now. Luckily, we aren't going to lose the Moon. The farther away it moves, the weaker its gravitational pull becomes. It means that soon, our planet won't be pushing the Moon away with such a force. Discovered in 2017, Kelt 9b is the hottest planet we know of. Next time you're complaining about the heat on a scorching summer day, just remember that temperatures on this planet can reach 7,800 degrees Fahrenheit. That's because it orbits really close to its star, which is called Kelt 9. This thing is way hotter and bigger than our Sun. Experts believe that the giant star might someday evaporate the entire planet with its intense heat. Kind of a sizzling solar sauna, wouldn't you say? Everything on Earth, and everything people have managed to see in space with the help of telescopes and other instruments, is normal matter. It's made up of atoms and molecules, and adds up to less than 5% of the universe. Almost 3/4 of the universe is dark energy. Astronomers wouldn't even know the thing existed if several decades ago they hadn't found out that the expansion of the universe wasn't slowing down. Quite the opposite, it was accelerating. It meant there had to be some enigmatic force that counteracted gravity. It got dubbed dark energy. Cold welding is a phenomenon in space when two pieces of the same metal join together without any trouble and heat. About 700 million years ago, a mysterious event that occurred may have turned Venus into the place it is now. Admittedly, astronomers can't see the surface of the planet directly because it's covered with dense layers of thick clouds. But space missions that have been sent to the hot planet found that Venus is peppered with fire-breathing volcanoes, massive mountains, countless craters, and gigantic lava plains. The temperatures on the planet are so incredibly high that they could melt lead, and the atmospheric pressure is so immense that it would instantly crush any living being reckless enough to set foot on it. If that's not enough, the atmosphere of the planet is filled with noxious clouds of sulfuric acid, which smells worse than rotten eggs. Carbon dioxide, the main component of Venus's atmosphere, along with the infamous sulfuric acid, create a powerful greenhouse effect. As a result, the lower atmosphere and the surface of the planet are some of the hottest places in the whole solar system. Neutron stars are the size of a small city, yet their mass is about 1.4 times that of the Sun. They're formed when massive stars die and their cores collapse in on themselves. The core continues to press in on itself until all the electrons are essentially crushed together, leaving only neutrons. This makes neutron stars one of the densest objects in the universe. In fact, a single teaspoon of neutron star material would weigh 1 billion tons. Of course, getting this sample and delivering it back to Earth might be a difficult task, since the gravity on a neutron star is 2 billion times stronger than the gravity on our planet. Because of the effect the Moon has on Earth, our planet is gradually rotating slower and slower, and I mean very gradually, at around 17 milliseconds every 100 years. So, it will take 140 million years before the world can add a single extra hour to its day. But that also means that when the dinosaurs existed, there were only 23 hours in a day. There's very little activity going on inside the Moon. Plus, there's almost no atmosphere around. That's why scientists can trace impact craters littering the satellite's surface back billions of years. While dating the craters, astronomers discovered that the Moon, along with our planet, went through a late heavy bombardment about 4 billion years ago. This event is also known as the lunar cataclysm. This interval lasted several 100 million years. During it, an unusually large number of asteroids collided with Earth, Mercury, Mars, and Venus. The newest scientific theory claims that Venus could have had a pleasant, stable climate for billions of years before something went wrong. Astronomers did thorough research and built a model of a virtualized Venus-like world. This model demonstrated that for most of its history, the hot planet had oceans with liquid water, adequate temperatures, and stable tectonic plates. In fact, the planet resembled Earth as it used to be at the beginning of its life. Scientists suppose that this period of Earth-like development could have lasted for more than 3 billion years. Saturn is a planet with winds that travel at more than 1,100 miles per hour at the equator. It's also the planet with the most prominent rings. The atmosphere of Saturn isn't really different from its surface, but the deeper you go, the higher the pressure becomes, and hydrogen becomes liquid. Further to the center of the planet, this liquefied gas turns into metallic hydrogen. Like Jupiter, Saturn might have a rocky core, with hydrogen and helium surrounding it. On the other hand, even if it is made up of rocky material, the core can still be liquid. Humans have been exploring space for over 60 years, and the effort has certainly paid off. All the planets in our solar system have now been explored, even the dwarf planets of Pluto and Ceres. Most of the exploration was done by NASA's Voyager program, which began in 1977. Voyager 1 and 2 collected information on the planets, their moons, and their unique systems of rings and magnetic fields. These twin spacecraft continue to send data back to Earth, and Voyager 1 is currently in interstellar space. The sky might appear pretty peaceful as you look at it from Earth, but the Milky Way is headed for a massive collision with the Andromeda Galaxy. 4 billion years from now, you can set your alarm. These galaxies will meet, and neither will survive. Stars will be scrambled, and constellations will be undone. Eventually, the two giants will merge and form an elliptical galaxy. But according to National Geographic, our Sun and Earth will survive. Any life forms on Earth will be treated to a splendid sight as the galaxies come together.